what's up? Mark here for WayCoolNews.net, welcoming you to another very exciting toy review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Select Spider-Man figure from the Amazing Spider-Man movie. On the front of the packaging, Spider-Man comes housed inside the clear clamshell in a somewhat crouched pose. Featured behind Spider-Man is the included wall and window display base. Shown on the right are the two interchangeable closed Spider-Man fists. On the left side of the front comes the cooperative Marvel Select product logo. Below that, amongst a red gradient half-tone-like pattern, replicating the red parts of Spider-Man's costume, is the movie title, The Amazing Spider-Man. At the bottom of the left side is the character name of Spider-Man. To the right of that, we see a sticker that features a red Spider-Man logo. The left side of the packaging features an image of Spider-Man from the movie in a classic mid-air web shooting pose. The image provides a nice full glimpse at the movie's costume design, and once again utilizes the bookshelf-like packaging that Marvel Select is known for. The back of the packaging features a web shooting Spider-Man in the top left corner, with the movie title layered just above that. On the left-hand side, along with the larger Spider-Man character name, comes Spider-Man's bio, briefly detailing his origins. On the right-hand side comes a photographic image of our Spider-Man figure posed in a half-crouched position, extending his hand and web shooter in our direction. Advertised in the bottom lower right-hand corner are other available Amazing Spider-Man movie figures from Marvel Select, including the unmasked version of Spider-Man that loosely resembles Andrew Garfield, as well as movie villain The Lizard, which we covered in our previous review. With the release of The Amazing Spider-Man shortly on the way, Marvel Select does an outstanding job at bringing the film to life through their action figures. Spider-Man's non-spandex suit looks to have been designed with practicality as much as style in mind. The suit looks to be primarily made of a very flexible mesh-like material with a honeycomb-shaped pattern. The mask of Spider-Man is enhanced by the addition of beveled webbing that continues into the midsection. Using promotional movie images as a reference, Marvel Select exhibits their commitment to accuracy by replicating the larger gaps in the webbing as they are seen on the sides of the mask. The black paint used on the webbing can get sloppy or too bold at times. Consistency in paint applications is one area that Marvel Select needs improvement. Oftentimes, when looking to purchase a Marvel Select figure, you have to try and identify which one has the cleanest paint applications. Unfortunately, this figure is not immune to that logic. The webbing in the mask is much more narrow than it is seen in the upper body. As a result, since the mask uses the same amount of black paint in a smaller space, it can sometimes create the illusion that the red in the mask is painted darker than the red in the body. The eyes of Spider-Man, textured in the same mesh-like materials found in the suit, are painted yellow with a touch of shading around the edges. Amongst the webbing on the chest is the Spider-Man logo. It's a bit bigger and a tad bit more drawn out, providing a change from what we've seen from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit. The spider webbing stretches out onto the shoulders of Spider-Man, narrowly connecting its way down into the gloves. The design of the gloves differ from the traditional solid red and web theme that we are used to seeing from Spider-Man. Instead, only the wrist and forearm area of the gloves utilize any webbing. The back of the hand, covered in red, wraps across the palm almost stirrup-like. The red portion is also outlined by a thin black trim. The inside of the hand, painted in blue, also comes with a small area of padding on the palm between the thumb and pointer finger. This pad is the trigger mechanism that allows Spider-Man to shoot his webbing. The web shooters, while sculpted on the wrists of Spider-Man, are very hard to make out. In the Amazing Spider-Man movie, Peter Parker's ability to shoot webbing is not organic. Being a creation of technology instead, the barrels of Spider-Man's web shooters should be painted silver in order to be screen accurate. Let's also revisit the blue paint that Marvel Select chose to use for this figure. Looking at the footage from the movie, we can clearly see that the blue color chosen for this figure is too light. However, I believe the use of a dark color wash could have helped remedy this problem. This would help create the illusion that the overall color of the suit is darker. it would also help accentuate and define the texture in the suit, further helping increase the resemblance to how Spider-Man is seen in the movie. On the back of Spider-Man, the logo from the front is reused, this time in red, and even though the diaphragm joint splits the logo, it still looks very neat and precise. Surrounding Spider-Man's logo are two lines of black trimming. This trim reappears in the abdominals, thighs, and knee area. It's very subtle but still complements the rest of the design very well in my opinion. The backside of Spider-Man comes outfitted in a red and black waistband that tapers off before it can make its way into the front. Branching off this waistband is another red piece of trim that extends across the sides of the legs, joining up with the tops of the boots. The boots are red in color and are once again created from the same mesh-like material. There is only a small portion of webbing across the shins of the boots, surrounded by a black vertical trim. Additionally, Spider-Man comes with two interchangeable closed fists. Two web shooting hands have their limitations, and so this is a welcomed addition. On top of the extra hands, we get a very nicely detailed display base. The brickwork has a very realistic texture. There is also a notable amount of shading visible in the red bricks. The use of alternating colors between the red and dark gray bricks is very well balanced. Laid across the brickwork are various sizes of piping. These pipes are also very detailed, supported by the use of shading. Along some of these pipes, you can see that there are some spots of rust. This really adds some character to the base. The window uses a blue and white gradient that helps suggest the reflective nature of glass. Housed inside the window frame is an air conditioner. On the left side, below the air conditioner, you can see that the buildup of condensation has caused a trail of rust-stained drippings across the brick wall. This looks really cool. Many people think that the green portion of the base is grass. However, when taking a closer look, you can clearly see that it has the ruffling nature of a fabric, which clearly suggests that this is a square awning. The bottom edging along the awning even has that line of waviness you would expect to see. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation for this figure now. Starting with the head here, we can do a full 360 degrees rotation. In an upward and downward motion, it's pretty limited. We can do a left to right tilt. At the shoulder here, we can fully rotate. The outward cut allows us to go a little bit beyond parallel. The bicep allows a full swivel. At the elbow here, there's a single joint allowing us to bend about this far. Now at the forearm here we have a swivel, and at the wrist we have a back and forth bend. So let me go ahead and show you swapping out the hands. In order to get this off, you have to twist it. Comes off. There's this peg inside. And to get it back on, just have to twist back and forth. Now one of the things I worry about is over time these pegs wearing and tearing too much to the point where it's not going to get as snug. It kind of allows this little bit of wiggliness. You kind of just snug it back up. So when you're bending the figure's elbow, make sure you grab this piece that is actually attached to the joint rather than the forearm, because then you'll cause this separation. You have to constantly snug up. But if you do it here, you'll put all the pressure on the actual elbow joint. So at the diaphragm here, we get this joint that allows us to go upward and downward, as well as fully rotate. Now the top of the leg operates on a Y joint, and what that means is that we can go
outward. But in order to do that, we have to line up this cut here. So if you want the leg to go in this motion to the left or outward, you have to take that joint and put it in that direction, allowing the leg to go that way. Now with that, we can also do a full rotation. One of the things that I find difficult is keeping this trim piece here lined up correctly. So it seems like the articulation might have ended up sacrificing the design here a little bit. It's kind of hard to keep that lined up, especially when you want to put your leg in a different direction than the trim piece wants to go. So at the knee here we have a double jointed bend, and if we go ahead and fully bend it, it goes that far. At the top of the boot we can do a full rotation. The ankle we can do a back and forth bend, and an almost unnatural to human anatomy ankle pivot. Almost break his ankles all the way. So yeah, in terms of articulation, I have to say I'm increasingly becoming impressed with Marvel Select's continuing development in this area. They seem to outdo themselves each time, and it looks like this figure has become a part of that evolution.
Overall, the detail in the sculpt is quite extensive. The various sizing changes of the mesh texture in the suit help suggest stretching under different extremes. The sculpt work in the webbing throughout the suit is first rate. I only wish that the black paint highlighting these parts could have been a little neater. The articulation is one area that is hard to ignore. Marvel Select does quite an exceptional job here. The articulation could be considered to be comparable to that of Marvel Legends. The ability to pose Spider-Man in various ways is almost completely uninhibited. While I'm not a huge fan of this movie's suit design, I think Marvel Select did a decent job at capturing the likeness from the film. But if I had to judge this figure as a piece on its own, completely dismissing accuracy to the movie, I would have to say in terms of monetary value, I think this figure is worth owning. With the additional hands and detailed display base alongside the amazing articulation, this figure tallies up as a winner in my book. For more great toy reviews, be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube. For WayCoolNews.net, I'm Mark, and this has been another Way Cool Review.